Okay.
This is Red Hot Chaos.
And I'm CJ.
I'm Fabian, y'all.
Stop, you're being so weird.
And today we'll be talking about
Everything wrong with Minecraft. At least that's what we believe. Y'all have value to your own opinions or whatever. Mine are right, though. We're not going to talk about that.
So, she has, as usual, a lot to say about a lot. And she started complaining about all the different things that she doesn't like with Minecraft.
It's not my fault we watched that YouTube video.
You just like to see things out of their norm, which is okay. That's how progress is made.
My thing is, like, all the mobs and stuff just don't make any sense. You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, like, you have cows and you have sheep and all that good jazz, which is good to have and stuff, but there are, like, they don't have many options of what to drop when, if we're trying to make this game more like real life. And I feel like the cows should have more options of what they drop rather than just dropping leather and beef. Like, cows drop a lot more than that. They drop, like, hooves and teeth and stuff in real life. So, like, I feel like we could use those for, like, weapons and stuff if they, like, were trying to make it more realistic or whatever.
Well, that's the point. Minecraft Mojang doesn't want to make this like real life. They want it to be purposely separated from real life. That's why they don't have furniture.
They do, though. They have mod packs and stuff that make it like real life.
That's mod packs. That's not official Minecraft just base game stuff.
I wish they had a base game stuff. It'd be way better that way.
I think it would be nice to have a lot more items to either fight with, and then in that regard, I want more creatures to actually fight too. Because yes, you can fight all these other, like the skeletons and the creepers and the zombies and everything, and even on hardcore mode or hard mode on Bedrock, there's stuff that after a while, after you get your netherite gear,
it gets too easy.
Right, after you get your elytra, it's like, okay, cool, I can just go and do whatever. Yes, we have the guardian bosses. We have the wither, we have the ender dragon, we have the warden now. I'd still want to...
It's getting too easy is the problem. Right. Because people post videos about how to beat everything, and this is how you do this and that, and then when you figure out how to do it the first time, it's super easy to do it the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time.
So are you wanting, like, tier difficulty? Like, as you level up, so do the enemies type thing? Or are you saying, like, just harder enemies in general?
I don't want to say just harder enemies in general, because, I mean, I'm already not the best at playing, so then that would make it hard. That would make it hard for other beginner Minecrafters and stuff to not be able to do anything, and then they would get discouraged and not want to play, which would eventually lead into the popularity of Minecraft just going way down, except for those pro gamers who play every once in a while. Which, while that might send people to go watch pro gamers and how they play and try to figure out how to replicate it, it doesn't mean that it would actually solve any of the problems. What I think needs to happen is they need to have more variety with their mobs, because right now they have spiders, skeletons, zombies, and the pillagers and the vindicators and stuff for like the main level mobs and stuff that you would see a lot of.
You forgot the one main mob.
Creepers, I know. But most people avoid creepers no matter what because they don't want to get exploded. That's the whole thing. But like, if I'm a beginner Minecrafter, I'm probably just gonna focus on.
You need more water.
What?
You need more water.
I know, I'm just... I do. Okay. Anyways. It's fucking my thought process, boy. It's snacky. Anyways. As I was saying before I was very rudely interrupted, it's just that they have, like, 2 tiers and that's it. Like, the extra hard bosses that, like, almost nobody can beat except for the few pro gamers. And then the super easy bosses that everybody can beat. With that being the ender dragon, wither, and all that jazz for the super hard stuff, and going to the nether for I guess there's a middle level, which is going to the nether, but even then, those bosses have gotten so far that it's hard to even get anything done while you're in the nether.
What bosses?
Like the gas.
You mean the mobs?
Yes, same thing.
They're not, no. There are boss level mobs and then there are mobs.
Okay. I think of everything as bosses, but they have different
that's
dungeons.
because you suck.
Leave me alone. I'm
Get good.
I'm talking about. Just shh. You're making me mad. Okay. No. So basically, like, if you go to the Nether, usually you have 4 or 5 there's probably more than this, but usually the main 4 regions are like the basalt regions, the red and the weeping willow region, or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. I'm tired, okay? And all those regions and stuff. But then you also, like, as soon as you get into these regions, it's like really hard to do anything, especially with like the gas and stuff. Which I understand why they have the gas in like the basalt region and the magma cubes, but like, you can't get anything done if you spawn in that region. There's nothing.
And that's what makes it a challenge, which is sort of what we're looking for, mainly in like the overworld type thing.
But the problem with it being in the Nether is if you spawn in that region, it's almost impossible to get a different spawn point unless you know how to refix everything so you have a different spawn point, which is really hard to do because it involves math, and a lot of people who play Minecraft don't deal with math at all. Me. But I'm just saying, like, maybe have it to where when you do go into the region, no matter who you are, you spawn in, like, the beginning region that you had in first Minecraft. Because that was a good region to have. It got boring. But then having those other regions that were surrounding it and you could choose which direction you went into would probably be a lot better than just being random, I guess you could say. Because then people could choose the way they went rather than having to be forced to go in a way that they can't do anything with. If that makes any sense.
I mean, it makes sense.
It's kind of like how in the overworld you have your world spawn point or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like no matter who spawns in your world that you have set up, they all spawn at the same spot. But instead of having it just in the overworld, having it in the netherworld.
Are you saying like biomes type thing, or are you saying...
Yeah, it's biome wise.
They have biomes.
Yes, but no. Like the biomes they have, if you spawn in the basalt biome and you're a beginner Minecrafter, you can't do anything. You get stuck there and you die over and over and again, and then you just don't go to the nether.
Then you just move your portal.
But beginner Minecrafters don't know how to do that, babe. Not everybody is smart like you.
See, I think the fundamental problem is not that I'm a pro-level gamer. It's the fact that I'm willing to do something like moving my portal.
The problem is that even if you move your portal, though, for a lot of people, when they move their portal, they don't know the math and stuff behind moving their portal, so they can't fix it themselves. Because in order to move your portal, you usually have to move the nether portal, because otherwise, no matter what portal you build in the upper world, your nether one is going to stay the same, no matter what you do.
You have to go a certain amount of blocks away.
Yeah, and even if you do that, sometimes you get stuck back at the same nether portal because there's one already spawned in the nether. You'd have to destroy that one as well, which is where the problem lies, because if you destroy the one in the nether, you won't be able to go back, and then if you're stuck in the basalt region, you're just going to die there, and you get stuck over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it's a whole circle of things, which makes it super complicated and frustrates so many people, which is why a lot of people rage quit. And don't look at me with that face, because I know you're going to say something that's going to make me mad.
Get good.
Not everybody is as good as you are, okay?
I'm not even that good. Do you see me play Minecraft? I get bombarded by a zombie and I get scared.
When pros play, they know the math and the systematics behind the game. When you're a new Minecrafter, you don't know that stuff. And even if you've watched people play Minecraft for years, that doesn't mean you can replicate it.
That's true.
That's why I'm saying, like, if you spawn in Minecraft or whatever with in the nether, just have it as one spawn point in, like, a super easy area, but then you have all these other areas that are harder, that are just almost right next to it, pretty much. And then
so
you
you're
have the
saying
choice.
Basically give, like, a starting platform type thing,
Mm-hmm.
so...
Kind of like how with the Ender Dragon, you have that starting platform you spawn on. While it can vary a little bit from left to right or in a different area and stuff, and you don't always get the best spawn point, it still has that spawn point pretty much the same for everybody. Something like that, but with the nether.
I mean, I guess that would help you from it would help anybody from running into lava as soon as you get into the nether as well. That makes sense.
And I just know that I personally get frustrated if I spawn in the basalt region, because no matter what I try to do, I haven't been able to figure out how to move my nether portal because I don't know the math and the systematics behind it, because I suck, and yes, I know I suck, and it's fine. But, it's just frustrating, so then I usually just don't go to the nether if I spawn there. I just stop going to the nether at that point, which leaves a whole region of the entire thing left unexplored for me, and then it just makes me not want to play that world anymore, and then I just respawn in a different world, and then I start the whole series all over again, and then I never get anything actually done. Which is quite frustrating, actually, if you think about it. But on to a different note. The mobs that we have, I think, could use a bit of a different, how do I word this, layout. Because while we have the phantoms and stuff, we don't have very many different flying mobs, for one. Because, I know that there are mods that have, dragons and all that good fancy diddly jazz that are fancy and,
What is diddly jazz?
It's a word that people who lived up in the country know. It just means, doohickeys and stuff. Do you know what that is either?
I know what a doohickey is, yeah.
It's like that, but, it's fancier, funnier.
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Diddly jazz.
No, but, if you could get, I'm trying to think of the word, different mobs so that people could slowly level up their characters with the mobs they fight, rather than automatically you get these 4 mobs no matter what in the overworld, and then you have these other options if you go seek them out, which I guess is okay and stuff, but you don't really get very many options for the mobs you have,
So are you saying segmented level mobs, once you get to a high enough level?
But it doesn't have to be segmented or whatever. They could all spawn, but you can avoid the other mobs a little bit easier,
Mm-hmm. So would you be okay with, at higher levels, or when you have, netherite gear, suddenly,
you're more likely to have dragon spawn. The spawn rate is adjusted to how much experience and levelage you have in that world.
And, well, maybe also, time in the world as well. Mm-hmm. But then time in the world could also sort of be a detriment to people who just want to build.
Or time, to things you've explored, I should say. That probably would make more sense. Because, if you're a builder, usually you just go and get the material, so you're less likely to explore dungeons, less likely to explore woodland mansions and stuff. But then you also get, the annoying, if you're a builder, you're more likely to get, the silverfish things that are super annoying. But I never get silverfish. I don't know what's up with that. It's supposed to have, a 1 in 30 chance spawn rate in, a cobblestone block, but I never get any.
Well, they have to come in a certain block. It's called a monster block, I believe.
Yeah, but I never get any. It's so
well,
weird.
They're rare.
They're rare, but they're a 1 in 30 chance that I never find this monster block.
Yeah, you may suck at the video game, but you have extreme luck when avoiding those.
Anyways, but it's just a whole thing. There could be so much more that they could do with this, and they just don't. And I don't know if that was just purpose behind their building choices or whatever.
Well, you also have to remember that it takes a lot to push these updates out.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of manpower and a lot of optimizing and thinking what would work, what would people like.
But I also feel the updates that they've done recently, they've had the Warden, which I guess is a good update. It was a new challenge for everybody, but the only people who can really face the Warden are people who spend 24 hours a day on Minecraft and have all the skills because that's what they do for their job, is play Minecraft, so they know how to beat the Warden. But then there's the people who just play for fun, and we don't have very many mob options, and then while, yes, it is hard and frustrating to try and fight spiders and, spiders and zombies and stuff, it's still more frustrating is the fact that we don't get very many options for mobs, because, we just have those 4.
So you're wanting more to fight, more often type thing?
More often and, less frustrating, I guess you could say. Because, Well, I love fighting creepers and zombies and skeletons and stuff. It just gets super monotonous because then like you figure out like the exact way to fight them, and then you don't have to worry about fighting them anymore. And then there's no challenge to the game anymore for you. But like if you have like a bunch of minor mobs that are frustratingly annoying and they just show up from random moments and stuff, kind of like how the silverfish are really annoying and like the baby zombies are annoying, but they don't spawn very often.
So, do you like the idea of like the occasional red moon type thing, like that kind of feature?
That was a good feature, but that I feel like would be a little too difficult because that's a jump from minor to moderate players. Because there's minor players who just started, and there's a jump to the blood moon for moderate players who play a lot more. And
well, maybe that can be like a hard setting type thing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe having that more often for the hard setting rather than it just being like every 30 days or whatever, like having it as an option to set it up more often or whatever. And then having it as a setting for if you do play more often, have it as a setting in like the main, like, because they have the easy mode and stuff, like that's a thing. But have it as a setting for like the main area of like settings and stuff where you change your game mode and stuff.
Or maybe they just add an entirely new game mode. That way it gives you all these extra features.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think keeping the original gameplay would be great. But for those who want a little bit more of the game, they can get a little bit more. Honestly, I love Minecraft, but for me, I get sort of bored sometimes because it's like, okay, cool, I'm doing this, and at the moment we have a realm where we're playing, and one of our friends, he just loves to speedrun the game, essentially. And that sort of ruined it for me, because I said, well, we were all working up towards this kind of stuff, and you just basically went from 0 to hero, and just gave it all to us without us actually having to do any work.
Which, that in itself is very frustrating. I'm like, if you do that, just don't tell us, so that we can still have the option, because our game characters weren't there when he spawned the Ender Dragon, we should be able to go back and spawn the Ender Dragon ourselves. But it's still very frustrating because we're like, now he's giving us all these options for like tools and stuff, which is great and stuff if we didn't want to work towards it ourselves. Which is why I have started so many different worlds, just trying to figure out which one I like the most right now and working from there. It's this.
So, just to recap what we've talked about so far, we want more mobs.
More minor mobs, not like super major mobs, like minor annoyances, kind of like the silverfish, but like.
So, like Vindicators came. Well, no, Vindicators are sort of.
Vindicators are a lot harder than you would think.
Right. So let's say
like kind of like the baby zombies, but not as hard of hitters. So like maybe if I'm trying to think of what we could do. Because, like, if we're going off of, like, an RPG game, there's, like, rogue horses or, like, orcs or something like that. Like, something that's super easy to beat, but, like, it has a point behind it and stuff.
So, for an example, one mob that can damage you, but that doesn't come around all that often right now is the Killer Bunny.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that level, that tier type thing.
Super annoying, but it doesn't kill you every single time.
So kind of like baby slimes then?
Yeah.
Well,
baby slimes show up a lot. It's just, like, you can't, like, they just die so easy. But, like, killer bunnies are a good example because they're super nice to have as an option to try and beat. And then you still get, like, a nice thing from them, you know?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Because then, like, you just, even though you already have, like, all these mobs and stuff, it just adds more variety to the mobs we have. So that we're more likely to have options. And then have more variety in the drops. Because I know, like, they have the drops set specifically to each of the mobs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, just for spiders, I feel like we get more that we could use for, like, the chemistry part of the game. Because while we get the eyes and we get the string from spiders, we don't really get much for the chemistry part of the game from any of the drops. Most of it is just ingredients we have to collect, which I understand why it's like that. But at the same time, I'm like, why don't we make it the chemistry aspect a little more easy for people to understand? Because right now, I literally only know how to mostly make the water breathing potion.
Oh, so maybe just like a book that'll say, hey, these are the recipes for how to make these different potions.
Or better yet, like, because they already have like the brewing stand in the village, in those churches, with the brewing stand, have like a chest with a couple of water bottles and have the book with the instructions and stuff for each thing
like
in there.
We ourselves, we have the Minecraft Blockopedia, and I used to have like the Redstone guide and the other building guides, but something physically in the game that represents all that information, maybe not all of it, but just generic information for how some stuff works.
Because like they have the option to be spawned in with a map, why not have an option to be spawned in with a book and stuff for like the beginners who want it, and then you have the option to turn it off or whatever. That way you don't have to get it if you don't want it, you know? Because like you don't have to get the starting map every single time. Some people do because they like having that starting map, which helps them out in the long run, but other people don't even use it. They're just like, I don't need it, you know? There's so much going on. But yeah, I don't know.
Ultimately, we love the game. It's a great marvel of...
It's a great idea. It's just, I wish they would... I know it takes a lot of work to do all this coding and stuff, but I feel like they've been building more for like the pro gamers on any of the stuff that they have lately than anybody who plays less regularly than the pro gamers, but still enough to...
Well, you really like the Caves and Cliffs update.
I do, but I don't at the same time. Because I used to like the idea of having the caves part to where I would find a cave and I'd be able to find ores and stuff, but I was also able to clear it out a lot easier. Since the Caves and Cliffs update, it just opens it a massive thing no matter what I do, and I don't always want that. Because it used to be a lot harder to find these quote-unquote lush caves and stuff, and now it's just super easy, which makes it really frustrating for those who like loved the idea of it being rare when you found a lush cave, rather than being almost always able to find one in your world.
So you're saying make it slightly more rare as opposed to it being
because
for
it's supposed
cave.
it's supposed to be like an oasis, like something that a hard-earned adventurer is supposed to find after a long time, and it's supposed to be like a little treasure in the cave with materials that is very rarely found. While they're nice materials to build with, it's also like, what was the point of making it so easily found now? Because it's a whole thing and now everybody can find it. Rather than it being an accomplishment of how good of a gamer you were, it's now, oh, I have this and now I can use all these materials and stuff, and it's no longer as special as I thought it would be when it first started coming out.
So are you saying make it more along the levels of like glowstone and like the nether type thing?
Well, glowstone is also how it's become more easy to find in the nether as well. So.
Well, that's because it was so scarce. Mm-hmm. So I think them adding levels of resources was a good move.
It was a good move, but I feel like the lush cave part, like I love that they have like the glowberries and stuff, and it's a whole new thing, and they have the little flowers and stuff. But also at the same time, for a while there, it was like, if you found one, it showed how good of a gamer you were because you were able to decide which cave was most likely to have it and what were the instigative properties of the cave that was created so it could have this type of cave. But now it's like every cave you dig into, you'll be able to find a lush cave eventually as long as you keep digging. And I think I know the reason behind that, so it's a little bit easier to find the warden because the warden is also usually connected to a lush cave or whatever, but not being able to beat the warden, this also makes it less fun to try and go mine for stuff, because then you're like, I accidentally find the warden, I'm going to die, and I'm going to lose all my resources that I've spent so long to find, and then a lot of people rage quit after that. Which is also another problem with having the warden being in the cave system, which I understand why, but I feel like if you did it in like a dungeon system, because like where we have the
end portal?
The end portal, I feel like it would be a good spot to put the warden.
Yes, but no, because he has a...
Something like that.
He can destroy that portal.
I'm saying something like that. In a dungeon kind of like the end portal, and then having it to where there's a thing you can collect to find that area. If you want to, but you don't have to, you know?
So you're saying, like, maybe he gives you Eyes of Ender type thing?
Or, like, if the sculk sensors and stuff, like if you know what I'm...
Mm-hmm.
They have the, trying to think of the words. My words are, like, not working today. Well, Enderman dropped the Ender Pearls, and then in order to get Eyes of Ender, you have to get Blaze Rods and stuff. Maybe have something like that, but with, like, the sculk sensors and the shriekers and stuff, you know? Because you have to destroy those anyways. Might as well, like, make it to where they drop something to help you find the warden's specific location, you know? Not like the warden himself, but like his little, like, ancient ruins area or whatever.
Oh, so like the massive base type thing.
Yeah, that way, because that's what they do with the Ender Pearls and the Eyes of Ender or whatever, so why not do something like that with the warden? Because then it's pretty much the same thing, but the warden's on a higher level than the Ender Dragon, so it's like an Ender Dragon 2.0 or whatever.
Ooh, I just thought of this. What if, like, sunken pirate treasures? What if, like, when you went to go get whatever loot, there was skeletons around it who tried to fight you?
The only problem with the skeletons is that right now the mob skeletons, yeah, they can pick up swords and stuff, but they mostly just use bows.
No, but yeah, this would be like the rare circumstance where they do spawn with swords and they have maybe like iron helmets so that they don't burn.
Well, they're underwater, they wouldn't burn anyways.
No, they must be on sandy beaches.
Okay.
But if they are underwater, then maybe there could be like an underwater skeleton type thing. Or, yeah, maybe improving...
Kind of like how they have the skeleton type thing for the snowy mountains.
The stray?
Yeah, those are technically skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
Have those, but for the water?
Yeah, like a water skeleton version, because we have the drowned for the zombies.
That would be an interesting concept.
The worst circumstance. You have zombies with tridents around it with the pirates.
Maybe instead of skeletons for the pirates, because they are technically sunken ships, why not mermaids? Because, I mean, that would work out, and it would go with the mythological lore behind it.
Yeah, I'm a little less dicey, or a little more dicey on the mermaids. But in that regard, we could just have more drowned.
Mermaids? Why are you against mermaids, huh?
Well, I don't know. I for some reason, when I think Minecraft, I don't think mermaids.
No, I'm not saying, like, mermaids, like, Ariel and shit. No, like, I mean, like, the scary version of mermaids.
Like the siren?
Sirens, yes, but mermaids are actually supposed to be a lot scarier than what the Little Mermaid and shit pulls up. They're actually supposed to have, like, tentacles and shit, and, like, be more part of the animal they're based off of, which is fish and dolphin and stuff. But because of the Little Mermaid and shit, they are less scary, seem scary now.
You know who I want in Minecraft now? Mermaid Man and Vertical Voice.
No!
They have a SpongeBob expansion pack in the Bedrock version.
I'm so
It would be nice if they were like canon, but then that opens Minecraft up to a bunch of like sponsor deals, and as much as that's awesome, I think Minecraft should be its own entity, as it has been.
I mean, like, they do have the options if they sign on with people to have, like, those product placements if they want to, but them not having it works out a lot better.
Right, I like how those are add-ons if you want them, and it's not part of the base game. But yeah, I think, overall, I think Minecraft has a lot going for it.
Oh, sorry.
I told her we need to clean up her
I'm working on it.
verbiage.
To be fair, considering I haven't said any other cuss words yet, that was pretty good. Wait, let me go for you. I just died.
I'm so glad I have you here.
That is a bad idea. You should not be glad about that. Bro!
That zombie spawned with full diamond armor!
hoe.
Killed him. Lame.
He's a hoe.
I
I don't even have diamonds yet. Bro. I do need to make armor though. Ha ha ha.
But, yeah, Minecraft has a lot going for it.
It has a lot going for it, and I like that it's a different type of game. Because a lot of games have tried to replicate what Minecraft has going for it, but they just can't, you know? The nostalgia and everything they have going for it.
Why do you have 2.5 stacks of bread?
Because. Why are you questioning it?
You have
I set this world in hard mode, so I don't know whether I'm gonna die or not because I don't have food and I don't feel like dealing with that.
You're gonna die because you don't have armor.
I'm working on that next.
You're gonna die just because you walk off the sides of blocks everywhere you go.
Walk off the side of blocks everywhere you go.
You don't leave torches.
I have been. Leave me alone.
I'm like, I can think of a million reasons why you would die.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I do need to go get a couple chickens.
But yeah, ultimately, if Mojang ever hears this, we love the game. We're happy to be playing it, and we've played it for years. But we just like a little more variety. A little more balancing.
It's a balancing act. Don't question my sanity. I don't have any.
She's a little weird. Don't mind her.
I don't have any sanity left.
We thank you guys for listening. Please stay tuned into whatever we have going next. I have been Fabian.
And I have been CJ.
And this has been our talk about Minecraft. Not Minecraft pizza, no.
Dude, what if they added more food varieties though?
Oh my gosh, I thought we were done.
No, I'm just saying, like, more food varieties would be a lot better. Because all we have is potatoes, sugarcane, carrots, pumpkins, melons, fruit. That's it. There's not very many food varieties.
We thank you for listening. I'm going to end this here before she keeps going. Have a great day.